Barakallahu fikum. All right, let's continue in the Muhkam and the Mutashabih, an excerpt from the prestigious book of the prestigious Imam. The prestigious book Al-Itqaan fi Ulum al-Quran by the prestigious Imam As-Siyutiyy, Jalaluddin, rahimahullah ta'ala. We've reached As-Siyutiy's citing Imam Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani. We didn't finish Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani's quote, but let's just back up and review, and we'll continue from where we left off, insha'Allah. He's citing this book of Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani called Mufradatul Quran. I told you it's a dictionary of Quranic words. This book I recommend for a translator. There's two books in particular of these scholars that I would recommend for a translator. One of them is this one, Mufradatul Quran. And the other one is Al-Maqayis. That's another dictionary too. It's a regular dictionary though, not a Quranic dictionary. Al-Maqayis. So I won't talk about them now, but if you translate, if you want, take a look at those. They might be helpful for you. So Imam Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani, rahimahullah, he said in Mufradatul Quran, I'll just read the English for now. We covered the Arabic already. The verses, the ayat of the Quran, when considered in relation to each other, are of three types. So where can you find them? Wherever you can find Islamic books. Yani, you're going to look for book publishers. Who publishes books and sells them? Then you will see. You would say, do you have in your catalog Mufradatul Quran by Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani, or Al-Maqayis, Maqayisul Lughah by Ibn al-Faris? Or, and you just Google it. You might find even just PDF. If you Google it, you'll probably find PDF for it, for both of them. Inshallah. If not, who sells them? So he said, the verses, when considered in relation to each other, are of three types. Absolutely muhkam, absolutely mutashabih, and muhkam from one aspect, and mutashabih from another. Now, last time I made a comment. I said he didn't explain these. And it's true. He didn't explicitly elaborate on his own words here. But that doesn't mean that he didn't leave a clue for what he is saying. Or else he left the explanation to who understands what he is saying. And subhanallah, I was eager for this lesson again today. This, mashallah, because when I listened back to the recording, also I caught something like that one time before that I didn't catch before. What did he say here? He said, and muhkam from one aspect and mutashabi from another. I didn't know what he's talking about. But then I realized what he is saying. And he actually has in here, he has a signal to what he is saying here. Now, as for absolutely muhkam, I don't see that he gave an example here. But the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he said in the explanation of As-Sirat, citing Al-Qushayri. Yani, the Shaykh was citing Muhammad Murtada Zabidi, who was citing Al-Qushayri. What did Al-Qushayri say? And the Shaykh agrees. He said, there is no verse or hadith except that it requires some amount of interpretation and linguistic adjustment. What this means is, almost every ayah and almost every hadith has in it something that needs explanation or that requires some maneuvering in one way or another to some degree or another. He's addressing here, dealing with the people who deny ta'wil altogether. So, when we talk about muhkam, explicit, and mutashabi, ambiguous in the Quran, this is a discussion about ta'wil, interpreting by other than what appears, or reinterpreting a statement, or explaining the statement by its proper meaning. So, some people deny ta'wil altogether. They say there's no ta'wil, you have to take everything in the Quran as it is. They say that without consistency, though, because we are able to bombard them with verses of the Quran that they're going to make ta'wil for immediately. But that's not what our discussion is right now, those people. The Shaykh, he mentioned some things. First of all, Al-Qushayri said, his statement is to say there's no ayah or hadith that doesn't have some kind of ta'wil in there some way or another, to one degree or another. I'll give you an example. Didn't Allah say in the Quran, وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ? He has power over everything. So you might say, that's very clear to me. What's not clear here? So then we can pose the question, do we not say that Allah is a thing? Yes, we do say that Allah is a thing, meaning one with confirmed existence. He is something. Do we not say Allah is something? Yes, we do say Allah is something. So then when Allah said He has power over everything, this includes Allah? He has power over Himself? No. He is something that's not included in the ayah that tells us that He has power over everything. Allah is something who's not included in the ayah that tells us that He has power over everything, over every shay. Allah is a shay not included in the ayah that says that He has power over every shay. Mental judgment lets us know. By our minds we know Allah is not included in that ayah. Just like if you were to say, I hit everyone in the house. Does it mean you hit yourself? No. So, Al-Qushayri is saying any ayah or hadith that has in it, in one way or another, to some degree or another, need of interpretation. But the Shaykh, rahimahullah, he said, except there are some ayat that are so very explicit that they don't have any ta'wil in them to any degree. And he gave the example of وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. He is knower of everything. Now, yes, He knows Himself. He is included in this ayah. Allah is included in this ayah. He knows Himself. He knows all the creations. He knows what's not going to happen, and if it would happen, how it would happen. And He knows every possibility. And He knows all impossibilities. So this ayah, there is no ta'wil here. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And also there's another ayah here. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ. Forbidden for you is the dead meat and the blood and the flesh of the pig. But even this one, it has something in it. Because we say the blood means the flowing blood, because there's two kinds of blood. There's solid blood and flowing blood. Forbidden for you is the dead animal and the blood and the flesh of swine. All the blood or some of the blood. It's the flowing blood, not the solid blood. The dead animal, that includes the fish and the locust? No, it doesn't include the fish and the locust. You can eat the fish and the locust. So even here, even this ayah has something. some kind of ta'wil to some degree. Let's stick to just the first one. وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. He is knower of everything. So this one has no room for ta'wil. So Imam Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani, he says, there's three kinds of verses. Absolutely muhkam, yani absolutely explicit. And then he said absolutely mutashabih. Now, I didn't want to put an example in the footnote here because I need to ask. What's absolutely mutashabih? For example, are the letters in the beginnings of the surahs, those are absolutely mutashabih? I don't know. Some say only Allah knows their meanings, but others have attempted to interpret them. And then he said, and muhkam from one aspect and mutashabi from another aspect. This one, may Allah have mercy on Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani. I know he's a special one. This answers something for me. Once I comprehended something, then it answered for me something, a question I had for years. And it answered something also that I posed the question to last week. This answers the question. I'm going to come, I'll bring it back when I get there. Let me keep moving for now. He said, then, so after he told you, there's absolutely muhkam and absolutely mutashabi. And let us say, according to Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani, okay, it became clear that the case of the muhkam and the mutashabi is not something you can just really quantify so perfectly. This case has in it some ambiguity that is unescapable, the whole case. To the extent that they have varying definitions for muhkam and mutashabi. We'll see. So here he said there's absolutely muhkam, absolutely mutashabi. And muhkam from one aspect, mutashabi from another aspect. And he's going to continue talking here without talking about the muhkam. So this number one right here, he's not going to talk about it. All of what's coming is about mutashabi. So he said there's absolute mutashabi and there's muhkam from one aspect and mutashabi from another aspect. And all of what he's going to talk about now is mutashabi. So he goes on. He says, then the ambiguous, the mutashabi, in general is of three types. Ambiguous from the perspective of wording only, the wording and not the meaning. Yes. And I didn't comprehend this fully too. Really. Now, alhamdulillah, I understand what you're saying more. And he said, and ambiguous from the perspective of meaning only. And ambiguous from both perspectives. From the perspective of wording and meaning. This, from here, is where he wants to start explaining himself. He didn't explain himself first here, but that doesn't mean he didn't leave a signal to what he is saying here, but he didn't explain himself. He went on to say the mutashabih is of three types. Mutashabih in wording, mutashabih in meaning, and mutashabih in wording and meaning. This is, from here he's going to explain himself. So he said the first one, that's mutashabih in wording. That's two types. And if you want to understand what he is saying, you need to be able to follow his divisions, follow his branches. We have two branches up here. First, muhkam and mutashabih. Then the muhkam is absolutely muhkam and muhkam from one perspective. And mutashabih is absolutely mutashabih and mutashabih from one perspective. So let's break down. Now, go up to the mutashabih. He says the mutashabih is three kinds: wording, meaning, and both wording and meaning. Now, the first one, ambiguous in wording. He said this has two cases. Ambiguity in wording has two cases. Ambiguity in individual words and ambiguity in composition, that means sentences. Ambiguity in units, words, just the words. A word as a unit, the ambiguity sometimes exists in the unit itself. That's what Al-Raghib is saying. And sometimes the ambiguity is not in one unit or another unit, but in the composition of the units, the sentence. So, he says, the first one is the ambiguity in the words, units. And this has two cases. Either due to rarity or due to polysemy, that means having more than one meaning. Rarity means it's expected or unsurprising that the word's meaning is unknown. That's what the scholars refer to as gharaba. So maybe the word strange would come to your mind if you know Arabic. When you hear gharaba, strangeness. It means here in this context, in this linguistic context, when the scholars of language say that a word has gharaba, this means that it is not surprising, or it is expected that its meaning is unknown to someone. Just like there's words that it's going to be clear to everyone. Some words are clear to everyone. Some words are expected to be unclear. Due to rarity, such as al-ab from the ayah, وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبًّا. Abu Bakr didn't know the meaning of this. It means the pasture or the herbage or herbage. Review last time's lesson if you want. And yazifun, it means hurrying, rushing. So he's saying the anticipated lack of knowing what the word means is itself an ambiguity. And it's going to be ambiguous for who doesn't know it. And the ishtirak, the polysemy, is for the word to have more than one meaning, like yed and ayin. You know those, they're coming. So again, I'm not going to talk about that now. It's coming. It'll come back, inshallah. The second is the ambiguity due to the composition, sentences. So then this is potentially more complex. You need to be able to follow the sentence and the meaning to understand the point. He said this is of three types. One type is due to summarizing the sentence. One type is due to broadening, adding words, making the sentence more wordy than it has to be. I'm saying more wordy than it has to be. This means, when I say it this way, I mean The meaning is achievable with less words, with fewer words. The meaning is achievable with fewer words. So the extra words in there, what do they do? So we'll see. We saw last time. We'll come back, inshallah. And the third kind is the word order. The word order itself. That you see how the sentence is worded, and the meaning of the sentence comes clear by rewording it, by reshuffling, by shuffling the words, shifting the words and the phrases around, then it becomes deciphered. So those are the three types of ambiguity due to composition. So he gave his examples. He gave the example of this ayah. The first one is for brevity, summarization, conciseness, meaning the words are shortened. It's the summary in the words that promote the ambiguity. So here's the ayah. We saw it last time. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا فِي الْيَتَامَى فَانكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُمْ. If you fear that you will not act justly towards the orphans, then marry what is good for you. So you might scratch your head. Huh? This is Surah An-Nisa. Not Surah Al-Baqarah. Last week I mentioned something about Surah Al-Baqarah. I did say this is in Surah An-Nisa, but at one point I said something about Surah Al-Baqarah. This is Surah An-Nisa. Yani, to fix that statement. Someone might take Surah An-Nisa, like if he's learning, he's taking Quran from a teacher, learning tajweed, taking the Quran. He wants to finish taking the Quran. And let's say he knows Arabic, but he didn't take the tafsir. So when he comes across this ayah, it's a good chance he's not going to understand. If you fear that you will not act justly towards the orphans, then marry what is good for you. So we talked about what this means. If you find that being a trustee of an orphan's money is burdensome, and thus you fear that you will not act justly towards the orphans, then find a burden in the conquest of women, because the chances of injustice increase with multiple women. So marry what is good for you. What meaning who? Marry who is good for you, and do not fornicate. So all of that meaning, yani, what's the chances of someone understanding all of that without some other knowledge, like without knowledge of the circumstances? Would the Sahaba understand this? So it's possible that a Sahabi would not understand. It's possible because it is reported from some of the Sahaba that they did not know the meaning of an ayah because they did not know the circumstances behind its revelation. Sababun nuzul, the reason for the revelation. So, Al-Raghib Al-Asfahani, rahimahullah, he tells us, here's an example of ambiguity born from brevity. Yani, summary. He said, and a type due to wordiness, such as laysa kamithlihi shay. So here, and then I say, I wonder, what does the Sheikh say about this comment here? Now I don't wonder anymore. Al-Raghib Al-Asfahani, he answered it. Here, goes back to this one here. Muhkam from one aspect, mutashabi from another. How is Al-Raghib Al-Asfahani including this ayah under something mutashabi? He told us, he said the ambiguity here is not due to the meaning, is due to the wording. He is still explaining number one. Ambiguous from the perspective of the wording only, not the meaning, only the wording. He said here, it's possible for something to be muhkam from one way, but mutashabih from another way. And he said, so the ambiguous, it might be from the wording only. So not the meaning, but the wording. It's answered here. It's clear. Meaning is muhkam. The verse is explicitly crystal clear. Nothing resembles Allah in any way, no matter how you try to explain this ayah. No matter how you try to explain this ayah, its meaning comes out to be that nothing is like him in any way. Everyone understands it. So it is muhkam from its meaning. But the wording, Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani is saying, if you don't look at the meaning, just look at the wording, then you can see an ambiguity. Because there's a kaf here. What does this kaf mean? Kaf usually means like. So like we said, if this kaf means like, then the ayah would mean nothing is like his likeness. And then that would be confirming a likeness. And that's the exact opposite of what the ayah means. So therefore, we must reinterpret the kaf. We're going to say, yani, make a ta'wil. We're going to make a ta'wil for the kaf and say that the kaf here is an additional genitive particle for emphasis. Harf jar za'id litawkeed, an extra genitive particle for emphasis. And there's plenty of examples. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. That back, بِظَلَّام, same thing, just like the kaf here. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. Or like, هَلْ مِنْ خَالِقٍ غَيْرُ اللَّهِ مِنْ. Same thing. Harf jar za'id lit-tawkeed. Now, if you don't understand the Arabic, then you have to take my word for it. If you understand the Arabic, then you know. If you take out the kaf and you say laysa mithlahu shay, it means nothing is like him. So therefore, really, it's extra. The kaf is extra. The sign of the extra is its removal does not take away from the sentence. Remove the kaf, it becomes laysa mithlahu shay. That's still the meaning. That's the meaning. Nothing is like him. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ. Your Lord is not at all unjust. Take away the ba. وَمَا رَبُّكَ ظَلَّامٌ, or ظَلَّامًا, if ma is like laysa. Still means your Lord is not unjust. If you take away the ba, it means your Lord is not unjust. If you add the ba, it means your Lord is not unjust. So what did the ba do? It intensifies the negation. Like here, laysa kamithlihi shay, the kaf intensifies the negation. Hal min khaliqin ghayrullah. Is there a creator other than Allah? Take away the word min, still means there's no creator other than Allah. So then there's something here. There's some activity going on here. And not only that, what I did not read for you last time from the footnotes is that some scholars said the kaf does mean like, actually, but they said it's the mithil that doesn't mean like. They said the kaf means like. Mithil here means that, self. They said, so kaf means like and mithil means self. According to that, the meaning of the ayah is nothing is like his self. So, no matter how you try to explain this ayah, it means nothing is like him. It is explicit in its meaning. But its wording is susceptible, yani demands actually it has in it, it really has in it what is susceptible to interpretation. Just the wording. As for the intended meaning, no, it's clear. Do you have any question here? And I told you, this statement of Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani answered a question for me. A question I had for years. A question I had until last week. Which is this. Don't we say that there's two types of ambiguities in the Quran? That's what the Shaykh taught us, rahimahullah. One type of ambiguity is the type that no one can discover its reality amongst the creations. Only Allah knows. And one type is the type that is decipherable by the slaves. Okay. The first kind is like when Judgment Day will happen. Okay, yeah, we don't know. There's no way to know. What's the proof? What did Allah say in the Quran? Allah Ta'ala says, let me make sure I say the ayah right. Inna Allah indahu ilmu sa'ah. Surah Luqman, verse 34. It means, indeed, Allah, to him is, or he has the knowledge of the hour. Also, Allah says, إِلَيْهِ يُرَدُّ عِلْمُ السَّاعَةِ. Surah Fussilat, ayah 47. And also in Surah Az-Zukhruf, وَعِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ السَّاعَةِ. Surah Az-Zukhruf, ayah 85. All of these mean Allah exclusively knows when the hour shall commence. So my question was, how's that ambiguous? It seems that's clear, isn't it clear? I asked one of the sheikhs. He didn't answer me. I think he didn't know the answer. He didn't know how to answer me. Yani, when Allah tells us in the Quran, only He knows when Judgment Day shall occur. Is that not explicit? That's what I was saying to him. Because he was saying to us, here's an ambiguity in the Quran. And he gave us the ayah, and I said, sounds so clear to me. How is it ambiguous? I didn't understand. Then I understood that there are ambiguities in the Quran. That's why I stopped saying ambiguous verses specifically. Ambiguous verses specifically, I stopped saying it that way all the time because it's broader than that. It's more abstract than that. There's ambiguities in the Quran. So, Yani, I answered my question because now, yes, the wording is clear. No one knows when it will happen but Allah. But the meaning is ambiguous. Yani is something Allah is telling us we don't know. You do not know this. This is ambiguous for you. So it is clear from one perspective and has ambiguity from another perspective. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala raise the rank of Al-Raghib Al-Asbahani. Ameen. He said, and there is a type due to the arrangement of the speech, such as أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما. He sent down upon his slave the book and did not make for it any crookedness. Straight or straightly. The meaning is he sent down upon his slave the book straight. So the word straight is advanced. It's forwarded. And did not make for it any crookedness. That's called taqdeem wa ta'khir, advance and delay. The meaning becomes clear by shifting the statements in the passage. And he said, there is the ambiguous from the perspective, he said the ambiguous from the perspective of meaning also includes the attributes of Allah, like istiwa, exalted is he, and the attributes of the day of judgment, like how is the weighing of the deeds. For these attributes cannot be conceived by us, since no image of them is formed in our minds as long as we have not sensed them, as long as we have not experienced them and seen them, or because they are not of the same kind. So we have, their realities are ambiguous to us, those matters of Judgment Day. That's where we left off. Now, we are just about at the top of the hour, and we didn't add to what we took. Should I stop here? And then next time, we'll start right here from the top without review? Or should I continue a little bit more?
Stop, please.
Okay. Stop. Okay. Do you have any question I can answer for you?
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Isn't that something seems clear, like the ayah you wrote, you recited, and then is the ambiguity because we don't know how something is, like how the deeds will be weighed? Is that what makes it ambiguous? Okay.
Yeah, we don't know how is it going to be, because those are deeds. Fundamentally, a deed doesn't have any weight. A deed is an attribute.
Yes.
How will it be weighed? How will the deeds be weighed?
Don't know.
Yeah. Are they turned into bodies and then weighed? Are the books of deeds weighed? Are the people themselves put into the pans? Allah knows. There are different hadiths that have different things in there. There's the hadith of the card. A man would have a mountain of bad deeds and no good deeds. And he would be asked, do you have any good deeds? And he doesn't know any good deed that he has. And then he would be told, indeed, you have something. And then a card would be brought and written on it is La ilaha illallah. Then it will be put into the pan of good deeds, and that one card will outweigh his whole mountain of bad deeds. And in a hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he talked about how heavy the pan of deeds of, or yani, how heavy Ibn Mas'ud would be in the pan of deeds. If you remember that hadith, because they laughed at him when they saw he had scrawny legs. He climbed the tree, they saw he had scrawny legs, and they laughed at him. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, and praised him. The Prophet praised him. He said to them, are you amused at the fineness, how fine his legs are? The diqqah, how fine his legs are. This amuses you? And then he praised him, that if he were to be put into the pan, he would be so heavy. I don't remember how the hadith goes exactly. And other things. So some scholars said, maybe it's like this, or maybe it's like that. We don't know though, we'll see. SubhanAllah, while I'm giving you this lesson, I'm remembering one time, Sheikh Samir was giving us a lesson about menses. So while he's giving us the lesson was while he was teaching us Abu Shuja'. He's teaching. Then at one moment, he paused and said, oh. And he just even paused for a few moments. He said, now I just understood something. Allah made him understand something that he hadn't understood before. MashaAllah. طيب بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خيرا.